Hi, I'm Simply Felisa, and here's another sporadic vlog entry. I'm really trying to get better, you guys. It's just taking me a minute to find my equilibrium. But at any rate, I wanted to do a follow-up video to my previous vlog about the silent treatment, and then also about breakups, and kind of do just a wrap-up of what happens in the aftermath. So here we go. Alrighty, so if you looked at my last video about the silent treatment, I talked about the damaging effects to when someone just stops talking to you or tries to control you and manipulate you through, just not speaking or nonverbal communication. And it really is a form of abuse, and narcissists tend to do things like that. And if you're in a relationship with someone like that, then you should probably run. But woe be done to me to tell you what you should need to do in your relationship. But I do think that you need to kind of consider why someone is doing that to you and why you tolerate it. And then talking about breakups and the 5 stages, or several stages, because it's more than 5 stages of a breakup, and what you go through. That's similar to the stages of grieving, or the stages of bereavement. And because it is the death of a relationship, and how that really wreaks havoc on who you are and your psyche and all that kind of stuff, especially if it was a relationship of any significance. Not saying that 6-month breakups are not difficult, but when you put some time in and you really maybe thought that this was the person for you, and you had full expectations of perhaps being married or at least having some longevity to the relationship, you want an ROI, you want a return on your investment, especially when you put in some significant years and resources and love and energy into this person, all of a sudden for them to just decide that they don't want to be with you anymore, or perhaps the relationship just collapsed. Either way, it is difficult to process. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about what happens now. Okay, so we find ourselves in a situation where we're post-breakup. And for me, it's been about 3 years. It was like 2013 when my significant other just pretty much said through a window of a car, I'm done. And that was, if you look at the previous videos, I kind of talked about it and what happened and, whatever. But it was just kind of like, yeah, bye, see you later. And it was 5 years in, and that was hurtful. That was hard. And, again, we've talked, and he's, come up with a different scenario and excuse every time we talk about it. But yeah, there's that. But I still didn't get the kind of resolve that I wanted. And so it took me a minute to really get over that relationship. And it took me a minute to really get over him and to process what exactly happened. And I don't know if I've ever really arrived at what actually happened, except for one fundamental thing. He ended that relationship because he could, and because he wanted to. And that's pretty much the bottom line for me in any situation. People do things because they want to and because they have the ability to, not necessarily because they have the right to, but they do them. And so sometimes other people have to pay the penalty of the actions of others. And if that is you, and you have gone through a breakup, or you've seen the end of a relationship, whether it was mutual or not, I think that there are still some things that you possibly could do to kind of help yourself heal and get on the right side of happiness and joy and back to the business of living. So I'm not a person who likes to jump into relationships. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned in a previous vlog that I've only really been in 2 serious relationships, a marriage and this long-term relationship. And that is probably both by design and both by default, simply because of the way that I'm wired. And I've been kind of busy doing other kinds of stuff. When I got divorced, I had to raise 4 children, and there was not a whole lot of time in the day to just be pursuing the men folk. So I made it my business to be a mother first. And, a lot of that may have been an escape, just because, you kind of have all these children, and, you got to make sure that things are going well with them. And then I was not a person to just be bringing any old body around my kids. And ladies, I'm telling y'all, if y'all got small kids, if you got children, period, you need to be careful about who you bring into your home and who you allow to be around your children. But that is another vlog for another day. Anyway, back to the business at hand. I was not the kind of person to have a whole bunch of people around my children. I just felt that that was dangerous and it was irresponsible. So I didn't date much. And then I met this other guy, and I thought that he was the one, and I fell head over heels, and he got on good with my kids, and boom, like I said, he decided that he wanted to end it. And here I was right back at square one, 40 something, and like, what? How in the world is this happening? But it was a good lesson for me, and it was a good reminder that, nothing is always permanent, and it definitely does not always work out the way that we want it to. And so I needed to take some time to heal. I needed to take some time to process. I don't know that I processed all the time in the right way, but I took the time that I needed for me. And I will caution people who have friends that are going through breakups, listen, I know y'all mean well, but you need to understand what kind of temperament your friend actually has, the person that is going through the breakup. Not everybody want to jump into another relationship, and definitely not everybody want to jump into another bed. And so please don't force or cajole or, you know, admonish or, you know, shame, you know, somebody for having feelings and being hurt. I'm not saying let them slip off into the abyss of depression and they just have one leg over the rail of a bridge. I'm not saying that at all. Pull them jokers back if that's the case. But I'm saying if they're telling you I'm not ready, I just really don't want to do that, please don't force them and make them feel even worse about the fact that they are actually isolating. They're isolating for a reason. That reason is that so that they can heal and they can wrap arms around what has happened to them, because they're probably devastated. Sit with them, buy them some ice cream, get them some drinks if they need it, but for God's sake, please don't push them into a blind date and make them feel like their vagina will just fall off if they don't get out there and use it again. Don't do that. Anyway, so if you're the type of person, like I said before, that needs to separate themselves and isolate themselves in order to get their footing, then do that. Take that time for yourself. Learn what it is that you like. Reclaim your sense of self and your sense of identity. That is so important. When you're in a relationship, you have a tendency to just give that up and to put that to the side and not indulge in things that you really care about anymore because you want to do what your partner wants to do. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. It just is. So if you are experiencing a breakup or you're on this side of a breakup, figure out what it is that made you tick, what made you smile, the things that brought you interest, the things that you probably couldn't do because your boyfriend or in some cases your girlfriend didn't want to do it. So, you know, whether it's I like to knit, yes, I'm a nerd. I like to go to bookstores, yes, I'm a nerd. I like to sit and watch movies, especially old movies, nerd. But those are things that I really enjoy, and I love to do those things. So, you know, antiquing, wine tasting, whatever it is, get back out and enjoy life and the things that bring you pleasure. And it doesn't always have to be huge things. It's the simple things in life, right? Once you've decided to do that, you've kind of had some, you know, I don't know, experience with figuring out what it is that you want to do and figuring out what it is that you like, or reconnecting with those things that you like, I should say. Then, you know, the next thing that you may want to do is to journal. I'm a big believer in journaling, not just because, you know, you just write down stuff to be writing it down, but just purging everything that you feel. Even if it's crazy, get it down on paper. If you're not a fan of journals, I have kept journals since I was in the 4th grade. Sometimes going back and reading what little 10-year-old Felicia had to say is hysterical. Like, that girl needed some help and somebody should have probably done something with her. But it's how I felt at the time. I was 10. But I still look back on that and I look at it and see how much growth I've had, clearly from a 10-year-old. But, you know, even from in my marriage and even from in my last relationship and even from last Tuesday, heck, I think that I've made some progress, and I think that that's one of the things that you'll see when you look in journals. If you don't like to write, then, you know, every phone that I've ever seen, every iPad, your computer, all have a note-taking ability. If you don't want to, you know, sit and type or text or whatever it is to get the note in there, do a video recorder or do a audio message to yourself. But just somehow document how you're feeling so that you can compare that in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, and watch your progress. You will be amazed at how far you've come. And then the last thing that I recommend to you is that once you've been able to step back from the situation and take a deep breath, then start to get out there and mingle a little bit. I'm just now starting to date, just now starting to get out there. You know, I'm still kind of reserved. A lot of it is because I'm guarded by nature, but, you know, I just don't think that it's a good idea to just be out in this world just, you know, hey, what's going on? But I admire people who are able to do that. I really do, because I'm just not like that. But I think that it's important to get out and look at people and date and get to know what you like. And everybody is not going to wind up at the altar, and that's fine. It may just be a great connection for you, a great friendship, someone that you can really establish good conversation, and you enjoy their company, no more, no less. And the last thing that I will say to you is, you know, I know that there is a huge tendency and, you know, maybe even a strong desire to try and remain friends with your ex. And if you're able to do that, then by all means I encourage you to do that. But I do think that there needs to be a time of separation between the breakup and the time that you guys decided you want to be friends. Only because if your heart is still wrapped up in that, every time you hear that person's voice, every time you see a message from them, every time you see their face, it will reopen that wound for you, and it will not heal, and you will not give anybody else a chance to come in and love you because you still holding the door open with that person, because their text, their phone calls, their conversation is a placeholder for you, and you won't be able to heal. So do yourself a favor. Even if you tell them, you know, I need to cut off communication with you for 6 months. For me, I just told my ex to stop calling me because it wasn't helpful. It just was not helpful. There was no reason in the world for us to have communication. Not really. If he didn't want to be with me then, he doesn't want to be with me now. What do you need to talk to me about? Maybe that's a hard approach. Maybe some people would think that that is a little extreme. But for me, to preserve my sanity and the fact that I knew that I wanted to be married one day, I want to have a relationship, and I can't keep holding the door open for this person who clearly does not want to walk through it. So you have to sometimes save yourself first, and, you know, be damned what everybody else is thinking and their opinions and how they feel and what have you. Sometimes self-preservation is what you need to do in order to just make it through the day. So don't be afraid to do that. Reconsider some of the connection and the connectivity that you have with your ex, and please, by God, please don't be sitting with them. I was trying to think of a good PC way to say that. Don't do that. You'll never be able to extract yourself from that. You got to be able to cut that off so that you can move on and be with someone who wants to be with you and is on the same page with you. I mean, yeah, that's the whole purpose, right? So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below, and I will catch y'all next time. I'm Simply Felisa. Bye.